What is up, everybody? Andre Bailey here. Change Everything live on Facebook. Here tonight with my good friend Phillip Deems. Phillip, you hear the crowd cheering out there in Cyberland?
I do. I hear them.
Good, good.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking tonight about finding your focus. Phillip has an amazing story. He is the marketing director,
creative development director
for WKMG, our local CBS station. But he's had some amazing things happen in his life over the past few months. Many of you might know about them already, where in talking to him, I've heard him find his focus or refocus himself based on some things that have happened in your life. We're going to talk to you in just a second. But we, as we always do, want to start you thinking about the topic that we have today. Find your focus. Let's talk a second about the idea of refocusing. So Gabe's going to pull up. Actually, before we move into this, let's introduce the crew as always. Guys, introduce yourself.
Hey, there's the crowd.
Alex, our producer. Gabe, who's checking audio. How's the audio, Gabe? Is that all right? Sound good? All right. And then we have a new member of the team here. Daniel. Daniel, where are you from?
From here in Orlando.
City of Compton?
City of Compton.
City of Altamont, Compton, same exact thing.
Same thing.
So if something goes wrong with the show, I just want you to know it is 100% their fault. If something goes right with the show, as usual. All right. So before we move into hearing from Phillip, let's talk for a second, and Gabe is going to help us have our Magic Vision television here. We're going to talk about 5 ways to refocus your life, because I think a lot of people, Phillip, out there, there's so much going on, so many distractions, so much coming inbound in our world, in modern day America. I think it's easy to lose your focus and to have to kind of do that refocus at times. So here's 5 things, just something for you to think about. The first thing we want to think about is learn from your pain.
Boy, howdy.
We were talking, Alex and the team here were talking before we went live. Pain's an interesting thing when it comes to learning how to refocus or refocusing your world, because pain, Phillip, comes from 2 directions. Pain comes from external sources.
Gotcha.
A car slams into us and hurts us. Someone was out of control in their vehicle and they harm us. It comes from outside sources that are accidental. It also comes from people in our life often who hurt us, or a parent who didn't take their responsibility, a politician who we feel failed us, a real outside source. Here's something to think about. Here's something to think about out there. Learn from your pain, but something really quickly I want to share with you. There's 2 types of pain: external, people that hurt you, but there's a second type of pain. That's pain that you inflict on yourself. Pain that you have because you made a bad choice. Pain that you have because you've done something you know was wrong or didn't work out. The tough thing is that external pain, pain that comes from outside sources, hurts your ability to have relationships with others. Internal pain, pain that you inflict upon yourself because of your bad decisions, that hurts your ability to have a relationship with yourself.
So that's why I'm here, really.
Yes,
is that what you're telling me?
Yes, you're here to because you've hurt me many times, Phillip. But you got to learn from your pain. If you're going to refocus your life, you got to learn from your pain. Second thing, get radically honest. This might be simple, but you're not going to be able to refocus the lens of your life unless you get to a place where you're radically honest about things you need to change, things that need to adjust. Get real, get honest, and you're going to have a great chance of refocusing when you've lost that vision for your future. So get radically honest. Number 3, this seems like a contradiction to number 1, but it's not. Number 3 is stop living in the past. Phillip, if you're driving down the road, looking in the rearview mirror, you're going to crash your car.
Totally.
So you've got to start living your life driving forward. Listen, you've only got right now. You can't fix the things in your past. So some of you, your focus is gone because you're focused on the things behind you. You got to get rid of that and stop living in the past. Next, focus on first things. Now, we were talking to Alex. Alex is, a highfalutin producer of television media, and he was telling me about this concept. Alex, what's it called again? Let's get Alex in it. What's it? Center focus?
Yeah, center focus.
So center focus, Phillip, I did not know this, is the dummy That's what I'm going to call it. The dummy setting on a camera that if you're a total amateur, center focus will help you keep focus. But this is what's interesting about center focus. The technology behind it works like this. It finds inside of the frame the most important icon, image, person, and it centers everything in focus around that so it doesn't lose the main thing that should be focused on.
Coming from the media guy, I love it.
Coming from the media guy. Some of you have lost your focus because you've lost the focus on first things. First things might be your family, might be your kids, might be your marriage. It might be that business. It might be whatever it is that needs to be a first thing. Sometimes we have to get back to the things that are most important, center our focus around those things, and that's how we refocus and get our lives back on track. Number 5, you like that one?
Yeah.
This one is maybe something that is sequential and incredibly important. Rediscover your dreams. I find, Philip, that so much of our life, the wind that carries us in life is so much at times found on living out our dreams, our visions, what we're passionate about. And sometimes people get to a place where they've lost their focus, they're off track, they're in negativity, they're discouraged, and because of that, they've lost that dream. Go back to the dream you had a long time ago. Remember the things that you envisioned for your life. Rediscover your dreams. They will be the passion, the fuel, the energy, the wind that'll give you the ability to overcome, refocus, and get yourself on a path where you can do anything, and most importantly to us, that you can change anything, especially the things that matter. So that's our list. We're going to put this up on Facebook right now. We'll put the list up here, and now we're going to go and talk to my man, Phillip Deems. Hear that round of applause.
Cue the applause on that.
Yeah, give him a round of applause there.
That's fantastic.
All right.
Well, I think.
What's up, man?
I think I can literally, that's like my life, like right there, bang, 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 like 5 things. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Tell me about that. So why don't you talk about just getting right into it?
Yeah.
You had a scary situation just a few months ago.
Yeah, totally.
You had a stroke.
2.
2 strokes.
Yeah.
I mean, 1 wasn't enough. You had to get greedy.
I was a little greedy. Yeah.
Okay. You had a stroke, and you're 18, 19 years old. How old are you?
Close. I am actually 44 years old.
44.
Give me a month, I'll be 45.
45. Okay.
Yep.
You're a young guy. Stroke. Tell us about that situation. Tell us how it hit you. Give us some thoughts on that.
Let's relive it. It's interesting because no stress in the evening, no high blood pressure, nothing going on. Literally with my beautiful wife, who's over there. Hi, Ange.
Ange, come on in here.
Hanging out.
Say hi.
Yeah, say hi.
Now, Ange put makeup on Phillip before the show.
Totally.
So
thanks for calling me out.
If he looks really sexy today.
On you too.
I'm
bingo.
sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I got it.
That's true. So, Ange, great seeing you.
Yeah, but thanks to her, I'm probably sitting here without any repercussions. But we were just looking at furniture, man, just hanging out, looking at furniture. And simply put, I was confused. I got really confused. Looking at Angela, couldn't get words out, couldn't speak. Just really, I didn't know what time of day it was. And Angela saw that something was wrong, and I guess she could see the confusion in my eyes, and said, "Yo, what's going on?" Tried to talk me through this situation, and I just couldn't figure it out. So we went ahead and bought the furniture, literally signed the deal. Yep, we sure did.
Because when you're having a stroke, the most important thing to remember
Get that furniture.
is to close out at IKEA.
Amen,
that's what I'm saying. Were you at IKEA?
Was not at IKEA.
Okay, because I was going to say, IKEA could by itself cause you to have a heart attack, a stroke, or some other bodily
Not
damage.
only that, it would have been bad because timing. It would take me 3 hours to get out of there. But, but bottom line is thanks to Angela, she got me out of there quickly. I thought it might have been my blood sugar. Went to go get something to eat. I couldn't figure out what macaroni was. Literally was pointing at things. And I kept saying to myself, I had hypoglycemia, which is like low blood sugar when you're a kid. And I thought it was that. And Angela, kept asking me questions. The one thing I do know, I had some great friends who have suffered from stroke, and they had lasting repercussions. 2 of my great friends, Mark McEwen is one of them. And I remember what happened to him, and I remember hearing, keep your brain working, try to keep everything working and keep everything firing. So I kept asking Angela, You know, hey, tell me what that is. Okay, turkey, and I would repeat it back to her. Little things, couldn't get it out. Just couldn't get it out. So by the end of it, I was, after dropping forks and doing all the silly stuff, she you know, said, let's go to the hospital.
Angela, bring your ass in here. Come sit down next to Phillip's thing.
Yep.
That's all
Yeah,
right.
she's important.
That's all right.
She's important to this story.
I'm like, your wife's standing right there. Like,
Yeah. No,
so-
she's uber important to this story.
Angela, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone out there to tell them one interesting fact about you?
Oh, goodness gracious. Besides being married to this awesome guy.
Thank you.
Wow, I'm a photographer, redonset.com.
Oh, nailed
To
it.
plug myself. And,
Wow.
Nailed it.
Yeah, and I do a lot of TNR, trap, neuter, return, saving cats. So,
She's the same.
yep, Cattail Corner, Candy's Cats. It's all about the cats. Love you.
She's got a plug in there.
So ultimately, how are you reacting? Tell me from your standpoint. He starts talking in a way that doesn't make sense. What was happening to him from your point of view?
It was really scary. He wasn't making sense. He couldn't complete sentences. He couldn't think of names of things. I was wondering why it was taking such a long time to decide on a couch. And then I finally realized his eyes were, you know, kind of red, and I don't know, he just couldn't get his words out. So, so he thought it might be blood sugar, and so I asked the lady at the store for a piece of candy and some water, and it wasn't that. And then he insisted, I wanted to take him to the hospital. He insisted on going to get food. So he wouldn't let me go through the drive-thru. I didn't understand why. Now I realize he couldn't think of the name of the restaurant. So we ended up, can I just say the names of things?
Yeah.
He ended up at Boston Market.
Yeah.
It happened at Rooms to Go.
I mean, hold on. I don't want to interrupt you because it's a great story. But
She's an ad guy's dream, man.
just let me say this.
Yeah.
If you were to die and your last meal was Boston Market, that's not a way to
Dude, that
go, in
sucks,
my
man.
opinion.
Yeah, that sucks.
I mean, maybe P.F. Chang's, but not Boston
I mean,
Market.
Boston Market's good, no.
Well,
but
I was trying to get him to the hospital fast. I wanted him to go through somewhere quickly, and I knew something wasn't right.
yeah.
So anyway, I quickly got him out of there. Noticed that he was eating with 2 forks, and I'm like, what is going on, you know?
It was strange,
Yeah, and he kept making me repeat things to him that he would repeat back.
Yeah.
So then I got him in the car, and we were almost to the hospital in Apopka, and the lady from Rooms to Go texted him and said, you know, hey, is everything okay? And he was texting back, and I was like, well, let me read that before you send it. And I read it, and I was like,
It made zero sense.
you might want to read this out loud. And you read it out loud, and he was like, oh,
Yeah.
take me to the hospital. I'm like, buddy,
Yeah.
we're around the corner from the hospital. I've been
She was
driving
already-
to the hospital for 20 minutes.
So you get to the hospital,
Yeah.
and I've heard this story before,
Yeah.
but they sort of release you,
Yeah.
and your wife's smart enough
She said,
to
hell no.
say, hell
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
we're staying. Come to find out you had a stroke, and this stroke came because, you had 2 strokes.
Yeah.
Stroke came because you have a defect in your heart.
Yep, hole in my heart. And what's interesting about all of this is when I went in and why they tried to release me, I literally went in, couldn't find anything wrong. They're like, your weight's fantastic. Low cholesterol, low blood pressure. Really no reason for you to be here. So the guy's like, well, it might be something weird. Excuse me. Angela speaks up and literally goes, here's a guy that talks at 900 miles a minute, and can do everything you ask him to do quickly, and he can't even text now. He's not going anywhere, is literally what she said.
Yeah, I said, well, if it was you, what would you do?
Yeah.
Because he was going to release him.
Yeah,
And I said, I don't think this is right, because I don't, it's already at this point 10 or 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
What are we going to do if we're at home
Yeah, and it happens
something
again.
bad
Yeah.
happens? So I refused to take him home. The doctor said, well, I'd have more tests run. I said, well, then that's what we're going to do. We're going to have more tests run.
Yeah.
So he had 2 days of testing.
Yeah.
And so you're 44 at the time. You have a stroke.
Yep.
How does that change your worldview?
Oh, it's crazy.
And again, this was 4 months ago?
It was October of 2017.
Okay, so this is 6 months ago.
Yeah. This is why when you showed those 5, I immediately went, yep. I mean, it's...
So I'll tell you something
Yeah,
interesting, because every week we've started to do this live stream on the internet. I knew you were going to be on, and I was thinking about the story you shared when we've spent some time together.
Yep.
We went to a Orlando Solarberg game, and you shared your story, and it actually made me think of this topic. I didn't have this topic until I thought about you and how I've known you a while now. But this stroke and having to face a situation where you almost died,
Yeah, truly.
it
Yeah,
changed you.
totally.
And it changed your life.
Let me give you a story. It's really interesting. I'd been telling Angela that I don't want to tell anybody about the stroke, and hardly anybody knew about it. People at work, a couple, family members. That's about it. And the reason I did that was because I've seen people truly suffer from stroke, and I mean lasting effects. I was lucky enough to, after about 6 hours, things started coming back, and I truly believe it was because I was asking her to keep my brain working and firing, and time will tell.
You're reading a lot.
Right, I was still reading. I was keeping things firing, but time will tell. But I didn't want to tell anybody afterwards. The people that were close to me knew, and that was it. So that was it for about 2 months. And one night I was running. I went on a run, and again, I try to stay in shape, and I'm glad I did now. I was on a run, and I'm running, and this overwhelming, and I mean overwhelming sense of like something, shame, I don't know what it was, came over me. I literally stopped my run and walked in the house, and I said, Angela, I've got to do something. I said, I feel horrible right now, and I don't know why. And I said, I think it's because I'm holding on to this thing. Whether I should tell people or not, I've got to say something. So what I did is I just said, you know what, I'm going to go on Facebook. I'm going to share it with the world. I did this video.
Okay, pull that video up. Let's just,
Yeah,
we won't watch it, but I want to show people.
yeah.
And we'll go ahead and post
Yeah.
the link to this video.
Yeah.
Gabe, you can go ahead and post that link in the comments if you
Yeah.
want. 'Cause
And what happened was I literally just spilled my guts.
actually, press play, Gabe. Let's see if we can hear any of this. We won't play much of it, but
yeah.
give us some volume there.
One stroke, but 2 strokes. Now, for those of you that know me, and I have not told you about this yet, I apologize. Please don't stop this video and reach out to me for sympathy. You know I'm not very comfortable with that. It's one of the reasons I haven't spoken out until now, almost 4 months later. You see, I don't like looking weak. In my life, I've been a fairly accomplished athlete, a trained MMA and Muay Thai fighter.
That's for another episode. Yeah.
And a fairly accomplished employee. So having this conversation with each and every one of you out there right now is making me very, very uncomfortable. But it is also one of the reasons why I must apologize to you right now, each and every one of you that is watching this video. It was very selfish of me to be this quiet about something.
So this is where I
Pull it down, Gabe. Thank you.
So basically, I go on to basically say that one of the reasons that I felt bad was because I knew that I was not the face of stroke. I looked nothing like stroke. The doctors told me that. Everyone told me that. So what was interesting about that is I said, if I don't look like stroke, then that means other people are dying that don't look like stroke either. So I truly felt like the weight of the world was off my shoulders after I said that. And I ended the video fairly abruptly by saying, I'm really coming after you, stroke. And what I meant by that, and I did, and what I meant by that was, you know what? Here's a guy who creates documentaries, ad campaigns, has all of these things at his beck and call, basically. I know a lot of really influential people that can help, and I wasn't doing anything for 4 months. And that made me feel really bad. So I'm trying to make up for it now. What I'm doing is developing around it. But after that video, I've reached out to hundreds of people, had conversations. And what's interesting about what you said about what I had, which is a PFO, do you mind if I go to some slides?
No,
now?
go ahead.
Is
go
that
ahead.
okay?
Yep. Go,
Do you want to call up those slides?
Actually, head on up there if you want.
What's interesting about I feel like I'm pitching a seminar.
You're good, and you're dressed to pitch a seminar, which is awesome.
Thank you.
Like,
Thank you. This is work attire.
I wasn't sure whether you were going to tell me about stroke or sell me timeshare, but
Yeah.
either one is good. I'm just telling you I'm ready. So.
That's next.
Okay, all right.
It'll be one of those MLMs or whatever it's called. But what's interesting about stroke is 80% of them are preventable. And I didn't know that. So I do all this reading. And by the way, I'm not a doctor. Please, I don't claim to be a doctor, so I disclaim that. Everything I'm showing you literally comes from Stroke Association. But the more homework I did, I realized that 80% of all strokes are preventable. And if you go to the next slide, what that meant to me was that awareness equaled prevention. Literally, awareness equaled prevention. So I said, you know what? I'm going to speak out. I'm going to make people aware of what the real face of stroke looks like. And to me, that wasn't what you would normally think it was. The overweight, diabetic, who, it was surprising the things I was finding out. So I literally felt like I was going to save lives just by bringing awareness to light. If you head to the next slide, what I did to start everything was just started a simple hashtag, Prevent Stroke Together. And why this was important to me as let's say an umbrella brand for what I was going to try to do. Why that was important to me was because together we have a much larger voice, right? So I said, if we collaborate on the awareness, the stroke awareness, I really feel like we can make a dent in things. So I started with a hashtag, and what I was finding out was one of the main things that people need to know is speed. 2 million brain cells die for every minute without blood flow. And that's why, if you go to the next slide, what the Stroke Association basically defines as, defines as these 4 letters and 3 numbers, basically, is what they call it. The 4 letters are FAST, and what that means is face drooping, arm awareness, speech difficulty, and time to call 911. And if you look at this, basically what they're saying is if you have any of these symptoms, face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, it's time to call 911. No joke, because minutes, if you go back to that, don't go back to the slide, but if you think about that prior slide, brain cells are dying every minute. So every minute counts. So what was interesting is the more homework I did, this was one of the key things that I wanted to show people. So this FAST was very important. And even if you want to put these slides up,
yeah, we'll take these slides and we'll go ahead and post them.
That'd be great.
Right into the
if
comments.
If you can do that, that'd be great. And the reason is because this slide right here is enough to save a life. So it's 4 letters, 3 numbers, 911. And if you go to the next slide, after doing all this homework, I said, okay, so why is FAST really important, and who is the person that should be thinking about this? And there were all of the obvious things that cause stroke: high blood pressure, smoking, physical activity, obesity, artery diseases, all diet, diabetes. If you go to the next one, what's interesting is you look at one of the last ones, and it's heart disease, defects of the heart.
Something people don't think about.
Right. Buried way down. By the way, I had to go to the bottom of the site to kind of see this, right? So nobody's going here, right? So people are walking around thinking, okay, I'm skinny. I'm fine, right? I eat fairly well. Not even the case, because it's called a PFO. There are 2 types of holes. There's one's an ASD, I believe, and the other's a PFO. I have a PFO. And a PFO is called a patent foramen valve. It's a hole in the heart that didn't close when after you were born, right? Never knew this. And the reason MMA was so important and college baseball was so important to that first video I posted was to let people know I've been 44 years with a hole in my heart. 0 happened.
Wow.
0 happened. So I go to rooms to go, and I sit down, and what happens is, if you go to the next slide, there's this hole right here. And you have clots in your body, small clots, just nonstop, right? And that's normal. But what can happen with some of these clots is it can go through this hole right here. And when it goes through that hole, it can shoot into your brain, basically. And when it shoots into your brain, that's when you have a stroke, basically. And I guess I either had it 2 different occasions, a stroke, and I didn't know about it, or 2 that night. So the bottom line is, PFOs don't actually cause the stroke, but they provide a portal through which all this doctor speak, but the blood clot literally goes through that hole. So if you go to the next slide, after seeing all this stuff, one of the things I talked about to all my friends, I don't care if they're an athlete or someone who is 16 years old, is you need to go to your doctor and not just put together a stroke prevention plan. That stroke prevention plan, they're going to say, hey, your blood pressure's fine, or whatever. Ask about your heart and ask about looking for that hole in the heart. Sometimes it can be expensive, and the procedures are becoming less expensive. But that is the last piece of the puzzle that a lot of people don't know about. And if watching a lot of sports, NBA players were dying on courts. Guaranteed, they may have had a hole in their heart, half these people. 1 in 4 people have a hole in their heart, by the way. 1 in 4 people. You may have a hole in your heart and you don't even know it. So I would encourage you to do one thing, and one thing only. I don't care how good you feel about your life right now. Go do this immediately. Put a stroke prevention plan together. One story I have is when I was 16, 17 years old, I had high cholesterol. No reason. I was eating great. So, again, some of these things are really important just to find out right now.
Because you're, and Phillip, come back over here, sitting next to your beautiful wife.
Obligatory stock doctor picture, by the way.
I thought
It's
actually
really important.
Actually, I thought that was Phillip.
Yeah, with long hair.
With long hair. So thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
So pull back up that list of the top 5 because we're
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
stroke prevention and having a stroke plan. But no, I'm sorry. Pull up the green list, the top 5 list. So Phillip, when I thought about you having this stroke, you and your wife, this incredibly challenging situation.
Totally.
You almost died.
Totally.
I mean,
Yeah.
to think about almost dying, Angela, what was that like in the moment and after thinking that you've almost lost your husband?
Oh my God, I don't even like to think about it. It makes me tear up. It could have been devastating.
Yeah.
You know, in a moment, it can be devastating. So all I could think of is, what do I do? Get him to the hospital, and now I wish I would have given him an aspirin. Aren't you
that's
supposed
another
to
thing.
give somebody an aspirin?
Immediately,
I didn't even think of it.
Yeah.
Now, you know, after the fact, you think about all these things.
Yeah.
And now I keep aspirin in my purse. If you go in there now, I have one for you.
Yeah.
So I pulled this back up because, again, I wrote this list, and show this list if you can. I wrote this list thinking about you. 5 ways to refocus your life. Go ahead and show this list up there. Turn that camera on that list. It's all right. Phillip, when you think about these things, which ones stand out to you the most? That now that you've been through this crazy time where you almost kind of lost your life to a medical condition, you're now passionate. What speaks to you about these 5 ways to refocus your life, and how do you think other people can learn from challenges they've been through?
What's interesting is really, you nailed it. All of them kind of speak to me.
Okay.
And I can't pick one. And here's why. Because if you think about why I told my story, I was getting radically honest.
Gotcha.
And when I told that story, I felt better, and the past was behind me. And all I could do was look forward to great moments, focusing on things that are important to me now, right?
Yep.
Those first things. And I'll be honest with you, we have a lot of great friends. And this year, after this happened, I've hit the pedal on some really important things in our lives, which is we've started 2 other businesses. They're small now, but I'm hoping to grow them with your help. Thanks, man. Yeah,
No problem.
Yeah, thanks. But 3OG plug, which is
This stroke sponsored by Red Bull.
3OG. 3 Guys is a brewing company.
Your new company.
Yeah, starting with friends. About 5 of us are going in, and we started this brewing company, and we're really starting to hit it hard. And as an ad guy, you know what I'm doing.
A brewing company.
Yeah,
You're making beer.
We're brewing beer.
I like
it's
it.
fantastic. I have to moderate that now. Wink, wink, doctors, because of stroke. But the bottom line is, I started a brewing company, and I started a film company I've told you about with a buddy of mine named Kevin O'Neill.
A lot of people don't know you at WKMG. You're involved with a lot of projects,
Right.
produce a lot of content. Talk about that for just a second.
Yeah, we started 6 Advertising about 12, 13 years ago, and we did it because we felt there was a need in the market for some of these smaller companies, these smaller to medium-sized companies, to have great creative. And we had all of that in-house. We had syndicated television shows we were producing. We had guys who shot cinematically, great producers, et cetera. We put that together, and for about, 10, 12, 13 years now, we've been producing content in the long-form content for SeaWorld documentaries. We've produced 8 episodes of a television show for Chrysler, and on down to our buddies in our HVAC.
And now you're doing your own ad company,
Campaign for Stroke.
Campaign for Stroke.
Yep.
So you have so many things going on in your life.
Nailed it.
And they kind of come from a challenging situation. Right. Where do you go from here? What's the next phase of your life after facing these adversities and now walking through them?
I'm really aggressively pursuing the Campaign for Stroke.
Okay.
And here's why. That still looms every single day in the back of my mind, whether I feel great or whether I feel bad. And I feel like just subtle, tonight is going to make a huge difference. If 5 people are watching or 3 people are watching, doesn't matter. I talked to a guy at work who literally was like, you know what, I'm going to the doctor today after I talked to him. And I don't preach, but, we have the conversation. They're curious as to how you had a stroke, Phillip. So, and I tell him, I'm like, buddy, you might have a hole in your heart. You never know. So having these conversations is very important to me, and I'm going to aggressively pursue that. And again, learning from pain and getting radically honest, that's really what it's all about. And then Stop living in the past. I was a fantastic baseball player, and every year I get better, by the way.
Were you really a baseball? So you were an
Yeah, I
athlete.
played baseball. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, the older I get, the better I was. Trust me. So I was fantastic.
How's your shot there?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Again, because I think this
Yep.
is important, and this
Yep.
is I wanted to use you as an example, a great example of someone who had a challenge in
Right.
their life,
Mhm.
and that challenge, it didn't kill you. You know, the
No.
old adage, whatever doesn't kill you
Makes you
makes you
stronger.
better.
Yep.
You are a different person. You were a good
Right.
person before.
Yep.
I mean, your wife liked you at least,
Yep. Yep.
but now you
Barely.
have a new lease on life because of that focus now.
Yep, yep.
That's clear. The 5 things we're going to post this that I want everyone out there just to give some thought. Hopefully you didn't have a stroke. Hopefully you haven't had a tragedy recently. But I think, Philip, I think all of us have challenges in our life.
All of us.
And there was a great quote that I saw earlier. I was just kind of looking up this topic, and I thought this was fantastic, that it's the darkest moments in our life
Yep.
that make us focus on the light.
That's exactly
It's
right.
the darkest moments in our life that make us focus on the light.
Fact.
You saw life through pain.
Yep.
You saw things about life clearer, and your focus became on other people. It became on what was important.
Unequivocally.
Number 2, get honest. One of the things I think we have to be honest about in our society is you're a good guy. I think you've got a lot of good things going on before you even had this stroke.
Sure.
But there's so many parts of our society that can just be distractions. I think distractions are one of the biggest things we have to be honest about. It's so easy to just waste your freaking life, man.
That's true.
Waste it
So true.
doing so many things that don't have meaning. Look at what you're doing now and the meaning that it has. Getting radically honest, though, might mean you got to get rid of people out of your life. It might mean you need to quit that
True.
job that's killing you.
It's true.
Get honest. That's a way to refocus. Number 3, stop living in the past.
Exactly.
This is meant to say you can't change your past. You can only change your future. The cleaning crew's here. We're telling them, no, we're good. Thank you, though. Stop living in the past, cleaning crew. So, but stop living in the past. Learn from your past, but don't let your past define you. Number 4, focus on first things. I really like this. Alex, who is our award-winning producer, someone who is known worldwide for his abilities. He was telling me about, and some people that didn't join till later on a camera, especially the camcorders they sell at Best Buy, Target, there's a dummy feature that is center focus. And what center focus does is it makes the camera focus on one thing, usually a person or a building, right in front of it, and it focuses everything else around that center of attention. Because if the whole thing goes bad, the whole shot, as long as that's in focus, it's going to be all right.
Right.
Sometimes we're out of focus because we're not focusing on the right things. I think about your life right now. You're focused on your incredible wife. You're focused on this great job you have. But you're also focused on what your life can mean to other
Right.
people.
Right.
I say this all the time. You're never going to find happiness in this endless pursuit of your own self-satisfaction.
Right, right.
But you seem like someone who's more fulfilled than ever
Totally.
because you're focused on some first things that everything else then makes sense.
fact.
And number 5, rediscover your dreams, the idea that you can remember the things that you've given up on, forgotten, and take those dreams as the energy to propel you to your future. So we're going to post this. Gabe, somebody out there is going to post it. And Phillip, tell us, where do you want to see, where do you want to go with the stroke awareness? Where do you want to go next?
Yeah, after my surgery, I had a surgery, and I should mention this, PFO, and I believe it's called ASD, which is the other hole in your heart. It's not a death sentence by any means. A lot of times, you can have a small enough PFO where it won't affect you. But mine was big enough where I had to have a surgery. So went in on a Thursday, thanks to the good doctors at Florida Hospital, Dr. Bethasia, fantastic. I went in on a Thursday. They have this great little thin piece of mesh that they literally, it's like a catheter, where they just put these tubes up and go into your heart. Takes this little piece of mesh, and that heart picture that I showed a little earlier just snaps that little hole closed, man. It's crazy. And they keep you awake. I'm assuming they keep you awake because you've had a stroke, and they really don't want to put you under and cause another stroke and not know it. But they kept me awake the whole time. Didn't feel any pain. But I'm watching this monitor going, this is fascinating. Oh my God, right in the middle of this surgery. And watching this little piece of mesh get snapped right between that hole, just goes boop, and he's done. Literally pulls everything out, goes, you did great, 45 minutes later. And I'm rolled out of there.
Yeah.
Monday, I'm back at work.
Yeah, the next day,
Yeah.
they have to keep him overnight
Yeah.
to watch him, but the next day
Yeah.
he's home, and he was
Home.
looking great.
Literally,
It's
it's
amazing.
amazing what they
They're
can
like,
do.
oh, you can go back to work
Yeah.
Monday. I was shocked.
Yeah, it was crazy. And the deal is when they close that hole, I have the numbers don't quote me, but it's like 68 to 80% chance of it not happening again based on that issue, which is the PFO. And I have to be on some medications just to keep the blood thin for about 6 months until that hole completely closes. But it's fascinating. It's fascinating. So I'm focusing on healing for the next 5 to 6 months, getting all that done. And then at that point, I'm really going to hit it hard again with my health because I can't really work out right now. I can't do as much as I want to. So I'm going to hit it really hard. Stay where I'm at now. Don't make anything worse. And then focus on helping others. And the way I'm going to do that, we talked earlier about an ad campaign. It's one of the things I can do immediately. But I've already reached out to a couple of my partners, a couple of my friends. Mark McEwen, love that guy. He struggled from a stroke.
Who is Mark? I'm not familiar with him.
Mark McEwen was a CBS morning news anchor many years ago, nationally.
Okay.
Yeah. And he made it to Orlando, and that's where I met him many years ago. We became great friends. And what happened is I'm going to paraphrase this story, but he had a stroke on a plane, and they didn't get him back on the ground. Well, I guess when he got back on the ground, they didn't give him the type of attention that he deserved. They literally rolled him out in a wheelchair. I guess they might have thought that he just might have had something issue, maybe a few drinks or something. I don't know what happened.
Jack Daniels
Yeah.
on first class.
Rolled him up front, and
They left him outside.
yeah, it was just a horrible story. And I think it was 45 minutes or so. He was just by himself. And
Wow.
He was trying to get a hold of his wife and all these other things. I'm paraphrasing his story. He tells it better, but you can read his book. He's fantastic. But bottom line is I've reached out to him, and I've reached out to my good friend Cecily Wilson, who also used to be an anchor. And I would love to work with them on some things. They've given me their, okay, let's do it. But I really got to present my idea to them. And when I present the idea, we're going to pool our resources, and we're really going to reach out and do big things.
So before we go, we're going to wrap up in about 5 minutes. Pull those slides up. You don't have to get back up there, but
Yeah.
pull those slides up. I want you to just kind of.
Yep. So
80%.
80% of all strokes are preventable. So you really, the key to this is learning how to prevent. And if you move forward, I thought awareness is the best thing you can do for prevention. It'll save lives. And as I build this campaign, Prevent Stroke Together, using the hashtag with good friends, and we're going to get the word out. We're literally, as we move forward, we're literally dealing with time. So if the next slide, we're dealing with time. Time is the key here. And as we move to that next slide, you think about the 4 letters and the 3 numbers, the 4 letters being fast, face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, and time to call 911.
So that's
Those are
what
the
people
things
need
you
to
look
remember.
for, right?
If face is drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty,
it's time to call 911, which are the 3 numbers. So 4 letters, 3 numbers, fast, 911.
And tell me if I'm wrong here, but I've heard this a lot, that when someone is having a stroke, they'll often they'll talk in a way that doesn't make sense.
Makes no sense.
There's a person who, I won't mention his name because I'm not sure he wants
Right.
people to know this,
Sure.
but he had a stroke. He works in our local government. He was in a meeting with local leaders. He's not an elected official. He works inside of government, and he just started talking gibberish.
Oh, yeah,
This is a master's degree, brilliant.
It's crazy.
And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm having a bad mental health day or something."
Right.
And he's like, "Okay, I'll get back to this later." The meeting breaks. He ends up going to his office, and someone comes 5 minutes later just by chance to get a follow-up
Right.
memo, and he's on the ground.
That is crazy.
And without that, he would have died. But
That is
but
crazy.
again, it was that speech that suddenly didn't make sense. It was the text that
Yep.
didn't make sense. So that's another.
Yeah, there's some new things that they're talking about just briefly. If you really feel like somebody's not aware, one good thing you can do is ask people just to smile and stick out their tongue. It's really
Okay.
funny, but if to see if they're drunk,
Okay.
because a lot of people say, "Oh, he's drunk." Ask them to smile and stick out their tongue. If they can stick out their tongue and there's no left-right kind of drooping or anything like that, they're probably okay if they can hold up their arms. So little thing like that. So this is really important. Fast and 911. And as we move forward, there's a couple of things that I want to focus on, and that is just because you have low blood pressure, low cholesterol, your diet's good, you're not obese, you've had the test that your arteries are clear, if you move forward, it does not mean that you don't have a PFO or a hole in your heart.
Because again, you were incredibly healthy. You just had a hole in your heart.
Just had a hole in my heart. It's that simple. And clots happen normally. Don't think clots are bad. Their clots actually happen normally, from what I'm told. And they get filtered through the lungs, but if it goes through your heart, it can shoot into your brain. So that was the thing. So a PFO, it's called a patent foramen ovale, was the type of hole I had in my heart, which was congenital. And as we move forward, one of the most important things that I could tell you as we talk about this is, it is curable. If you have a large enough hole, they do a surgery that's like it's a couple hours long, man, and it just cure it just like that, or they can close the hole, so to speak. Moving forward, the one thing I'm going to preach as we ask questions about what I really am focused on is the stroke prevention plan. Literally go to your doctor, say, you know what, dude named Phillip was in decent shape, guy had a hole in his heart, had a stroke, man. I'm curious. Am I that guy?
He was a professional baseball player.
Not professional baseball.
He beat
college ball.
He beat Conor McGregor.
No, I did not.
In the UFC.
All lies. All lies.
Okay, that's what I heard.
But I did train MMA. But the whole point in bringing that up was I was in some intense situations when I was younger, and nothing ever happened. But I'm sitting in rooms ago, and
There it is.
stroke.
And we're going to post all this. Before we go, Gabe, pull up those memes, those last memes I sent you. I put together a couple other memes in your honor. Phillip, I love this quote. I just saw this earlier today.
Love it.
It's from Aristotle Onassis. Now, I will tell you guys, I wanted to steal this quote, claim it as my own, but I figured out you can't get away with that anymore. Just Google.
Google.
So, unfortunately, if you could just focus on the words and not who said it and pretend I said it, that'd be great. No, but I love this quote. It is in our darkest moments we must focus to see the light. So the idea that in our dark moments, our biggest challenges, sometimes we refocus on the most important things and they become clear. Gabe, next one. I like this too. In this week created yesterday, in the darkest moments of our life, our eyes are often open to see a world not visible without the new lens of compassion for others that challenges or suffering gives us. So we'll post this as well. Last one, I like this. You can always find, and I hear you've been on a good path, but you found even a path that's even bigger and broader. You can always find the right path for your future if you're trying to refocus. It's the narrow, lonely road, gently illuminated with the expectation of meaning found in the service of others. I think what Phillip, what Angela are saying is that life was fantastic, but it was normal fantastic. Yeah. But now in the service of others, you got a path for your life that has come through a painful situation that had you refocus in that dark moment on a light inside you that you could share with others, and that was fantastic. We're going to sign off now. Everyone give it up in the Peanut Gallery for Phillip and Angela. Yay. They're fantastic.
Great crew.
If people want more information about you and all the stuff you're doing, where can they find it?
Phillip Deems on Facebook.
We'll post that in the comments.
And then on Instagram, same thing, Phillip Deems.
And Phillip's actually been a great advisor to our little... Alex, what are we calling this now? We were told, did we get a cease and desist, or we can't use the term live cast? Is that true? All right. So Alex is going to get us sued because he's using terms and phrases that are trademarked.
Yeah.
But we're on every week now. Yep. You know, we have some stuff we're not...
Love what you're doing here, man.
We have some stuff we're not talking about yet that where we're going with this. But the idea that you put out content and you put it out for so many people to see on the internet and maybe merge different mediums together over the next few months. We're looking at that. But thank you again to Phillip, Angela. We love you out there. Post your comments. If you have more questions for Phillip, post them right now. You have stroke awareness questions. He'll answer your questions as soon as we get off and we're not live. Thank you to the whole crew. Show the crew here again. They're just so beautiful.
Wonderful.
Alex,
wonderful. Wonderful.
Alex, a beautiful, beautiful man over there, and he's
you grow a great beard.
You get a great look at that beard. That is amazing
fantastic beard.
So we'll be seeing you next week. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.